Let's talk about Oregon. They go into Ann Arbor. Yeah, that's a message. 107,000 in Ann Arbor. They shut their mouth. Ducks buried the Michigan Wolverines. 470 yards offense at Michigan, all-time record. Dylan Gabriel, who I think is going to get some consideration for the Heisman Trophy, maybe from West Coast voters, 294 yards passing and a touchdown. The Ducks are 9-0 on the season. Speaking of getting shut up, Penn State fan. Penn State loses to Ohio State. Had a 10-0 lead out of the gate. They played really well out of the gate, and then it all went away. And Ohio State just punched him in the mouth, knocked him down like bowling pins. Buckeyes ran for 176, 2 goal line stands at the end of the game. James Franklin, head coach Penn State's done a good job. He came from Vanderbilt, but he's 1-10 against Ohio State since he was head coach. He's 4-17 if you combined playing Ohio State and Michigan. A lot of people just not sure that he's the guy that can get them to the next national level. So they fall from the rankings. They fall from where they were. They drop back. Team that should be getting more considerations not is Miami, the Canes. Tell you what, they outgunned Duke. Cam Ward, who was a Washington State quarterback who transferred for his final year, small college kid, was never recruited, and now he's playing at Miami. He's got the Hurricanes at 9-0. He threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in that win. San Diego State, they got bludgeoned, they got battered, they got beaten up. And here's the most alarming thing, because I just came from Sean Lewis's Aztec press conference. I mean, they got blitzed at Boise State 56-24. They were never in the game. At one point, it was 35-0 in the second quarter. I mean, it was a battering like you wouldn't believe. Maddox Madsen, the Boise State young quarterback, threw for 307 and 4 touchdowns. Heisman Trophy hopeful running back Ashton Gentry ran for 149, a couple of scores. Boise State piled up 591 yards offense against a really good competitive San Diego State team. Had 33 first downs, 39 minutes time of possession. He just mopped the floor with them. It was terrible. Aztecs are 3-5. Bowl chances are starting to go away. They haven't beaten anybody of note at all. Haven't beaten any of the good teams. The thing that really alarms me, we know Boise State, flag carrier Mountain West. We know San Diego State, under Rocky Long, Brady Hoke, flag carrier Mountain West. They're going to the Pac-12 18 months from now. We just saw what Boise State did. We know they can compete. They almost beat Oregon on opening day. Mm-hmm. Look how bad San Diego State played. Do you think San Diego State is really a Pac-12 team based on how they got smoked? And Sean Lewis today was, I'm not going to say he was in denial mode, because I peppered him with some really strong questions, and so did one of the UT reporters. But he said, hey, you coach in this game long enough, you see these things happen. And the big issue is how you rally your team back after it happens to them. So we'll see. They the rest of the schedule now, they're going to get some breathers. They get New Mexico this weekend on Friday night. Then they got to play Vegas, that's going to really be hard up there. But then the rest of the games are all winnable. So we'll see if this team can respond, or whether everybody has caught up to what Sean Lewis is doing. He took exception to my question. I posed the question. I watched this. I know Danny O'Neal, your freshman quarterback's got great courage. He stays in the pocket. He makes plays. He got a couple of passes picked off in desperation throws. He took a terrible beating. And I said, Sean, I had a flashback to Shadur Sanders taking that kind of beating the first half of last season. Do you think you need to change your scheme to better protect that kid? Because I fear that kid's not going to get up from one of these hits. He's taken so many hits. Sean got really upset. But it is what it is. You're 3-5. Your quarterback is playing his heart out and getting pounded. I'm so impressed with the kid. The kid is an 18-year-old freshman who's just got guts of a burglar, who's going to stay in there and make plays. But he got whacked 4 straight times on passes, and the 4th time, I didn't think he was getting up, and he was holding his shoulder again. So anyhow, we'll see if this team can rally back under Sean Lewis. The players believe in the system. The players believe in him. His sales pitch I said, you must have gone to the same tent revival that Jim Harbaugh went to. He was laughing at the end of the press. He gave us, I think there were 7 of us in the media that were there for the Monday press briefing. He gave us this fire and brimstone sales pitch about who they are and how they're going to learn. And I've seen all this, and I know how to respond to this. So we'll see what they do against New Mexico. But Vegas game, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be really, really hard. So that's where we are with them. USC, they're 4-5. Starting to think, and this might be a little bit unfair, I'm starting to think what we saw from Miller Moss in the Holiday Bowl last year was an aberration. Maybe a one-time thing. Because he's throwing the ball, he's throwing for yards, but he's throwing a lot of interceptions. And you can't survive when you're throwing 2 to 3 interceptions a week. Woody Marks ran for another 100. Moss threw for 293, but they wound up losing to Washington. Now, granted, it was up at Husky Stadium, tough place to live. Washington is not a good football team this year. They're in the middle of transition, but they busted USC. So at this point, they're 4-5. Their bowl hopes are really in jeopardy. Can you imagine USC not making a bowl when the whole freaking world goes to a bowl? So that's a big issue. UCLA, do you gauge them on their record or do you gauge them on progress made? Tell you what, Deshaun Foster through Eric Bieniemy. These guys are getting progressively better. UCLA has won 2 in a row. They won at Nebraska. They beat up Dominic Raiola, the freshman of the year quarterback of the Cornhuskers. In fact, he wound up leaving the game with a back injury. UCLA's improved. Their defense got 2 more interceptions along the way. Ethan Garbers threw for 219, 3 touchdowns. Bruins have won 2 straight. So they're getting a little bit better. They're getting a little bit more competitive, I guess is the correct term. And there's one other side note. I've seen a lot of things in college football, modern college football. Never seen this. Virginia Union, which is HBCU school, Division II. Virginia Union beat a team this weekend 91-0.
Oh, my God.
I've never seen that in modern-day football. I've never seen that at all. And they had taken all their kids out, and all their kids were beaten. I can't recall who they beat, but it was miserable. I looked at the score, and I read a snippet game story along the way. So anyhow, John, you had a comment on the Ducks. You got a comment on Penn State's coach. Who wants to talk about the guy that probably needs to get some Heisman Trophy looks in Cam Ward? You're going to go to next week's press conference. You can argue with Sean Lewis about San Diego State and the stature of the program. Go ahead.
I'd actually like to go to one of those press conferences, just sit in the back of the room, because the way he is so animated and the way he talks so fast.
And he was so animated today. It was Jim Harbaugh on steroids.
That's great. I could just see you in the back of the room asking him questions.
Oh, no, I sit in the front row.
Oh, you do? Okay. And so, you're saying like guts like a burglar. You're talking about Danny O'Neill, and he has done a good job, but they were just overmatched. I remember it was 21-0 after the first quarter, and I was like doing the math in my head. It projected to 84-0. So it would have been like that Virginia Union game. Loving Dylan Gabriel. I think he should be the favorite for the Heisman. I don't know who's better. Maybe the Genty kid at Boise State.
Well, Cam Ward, too.
Yeah, Cam Ward. I mean, and it's great seeing the Hurricanes relevant again. But you know what team isn't on that board right there? The Indiana Hoosiers.
9-0.
They're ranked number 8. I mean, how would that sort out for the Big Ten championship? Is there like an East and a West division, or how does that work?
No, it's 1 versus 2 now. It's changed. They used to have the divisions, and that's unfortunately, they're going to be in the. I think they have a legitimate shot to be in the playoffs if they stay inside the top 10 rankings. They're part of the 12-team mix.
Yeah, and I know they've got Ohio State on their schedule still
in Bloomington, I believe.
Oh, no, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
I mean that'd be great if we can see Indiana kind of rise up. One of my buddies went to Indiana, and he is just so excited this year.
Is he going to send me a thank you note? Starting quarterback at IU.
Oh, that's right. He was from
Ohio University.
Yeah,
my alma mater. They stole him from our program.
All right.
Wrote him an NIL check.
Okay, so I guess you got
Nathan Rourke.
Pay the jizz to Hacksaw. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Indiana, it's quite a story. And that kid quarterback is pretty good. And there's still games to be played in the Big Ten schedule. And maybe it's going to be another ambush. You just never know. So all things college football, feel free to jump on board. There are a lot of people in San Diego, some San Diego State fans. Give us your impression of where they are at 3-5. I'm not disappointed. I thought this would be a rebuild process, going to take some time because they got injuries. They lost so many players in transfer portal. I feel bad for that kid quarterback because he is getting lit up almost Saturday by Saturday, and the coach says, no, we run and it's going to work. And he said the sacks that Shedeur Sanders took in no way compare to the sacks that Danny O'Neal's taken. Well, Sanders got hurt, and O'Neal's been hurt twice already this season. So that's where we are. We go from that